Good evening and welcome to the Star Chamber Show live podcast, episode number 505 for those of you keeping score. And it is a beautiful evening here in Lexington, Kentucky. Yes, that's where I'm broadcasting from. And joining me shortly in the co hosting chair will be the vivacious, the audacious, and the loquacious Holly Philippi. So, yes, she will be coming here in just a moment. She's just getting a little few things set up before coming on board. And so, yes, the chat room is open. We definitely, of course, take comments, questions, all that kind of good stuff. And tonight's first one in the chat room was Vamp Chat with Dan and Eva. And I think that's probably Eva Vertrice by a hair over DL Hearn. He's great. He's great, but missed it by just a hair, just a hair. And so, yes, we're going to have a great show for you tonight. We're really looking forward to having our guest aboard with us. They have great new guests that we've never had on before. And yeah, it's going to be a really good show. It's going to be a really good show. And welcome to let's see, we got Amanda in the house tonight, and we also have award-winning screenwriter and author Carol Preflattish. And yes, Carol was definitely keeping Holly chuckling this week. They're having a lot of good chats about thriller and mystery related topics. I'll keep it to that. I'll let Holly comment more when she gets on if she wants, but it was great. It was great, folks. And I kind of enjoyed it because, I heard Holly laughing a lot, and I was like, "What is going on?" But yes, evidently, yeah, she and Carol had quite the conversation this week. But yes, it's been a good week so far. Gotten a lot done on the convention front, and of course, the Imaginarium convention is connected to the Star Chamber Show. Star Chamber Show is the official podcast of the convention. So we want to always give you the latest news and updates in our first segment about what's going on with the convention. So first and foremost, I do want to encourage you to please support our current outreach. We're doing it until April the 5th. And if you have an extra $5 or $10 to give, we are trying to build up as much as we can for our spring campaign. We want to get as much printed material made as possible and also be able to do as many sponsored posts as possible for the spring to promote Imaginarium, because we've definitely got an amazing lineup of headliners, guests, events, activities, and the programming is just awesome. And we're even going to give you a sneak preview of yet another one of those things tonight. But I'm probably going to delay that until Holly gets on. But I do have a few others to announce. And so, yes, if you could head on over to the site, you'll see one of our recent posts about it on the homepage. It's our Imaginarium 2026 outreach for support of our spring promotional campaigns. And yes, just every $5 or $10 will make a difference. It's going toward all that stuff I mentioned, printing materials, sponsored posts, all that stuff. We want to do the biggest campaign we have ever done for Imaginarium, but we can't do it without you guys. So we need that support. Of course, you can, if you want to, definitely take a look at our individual patrons or our main sponsorships. And we have a number of levels of those, but any of those would help in a big way, because everything that comes in during this period is going to go concentrate toward that spring campaign. So that would help us a lot, folks. A lot. Yeah, I'm trying to, just underscore that point because, just take a look at what we've got coming this year, and it's definitely the year we want to really have the biggest push we possibly can. And so, yes, since last week, we do have a few announcements. Last week, we did launch that campaign, and then we also added some new workshops and panels and a new panelist. So joining us, let's see. First of all, I'll go ahead and announce the new workshops and panels, and they are dynamite. New workshops that have been added are the Poet's Guide to Publishing: How to Conceive, Arrange, Edit, Publish, and Market a Book of Poetry, presented by Katerina Stoikova. This Katerina Stoikova is one of our spotlighted guests, award-winning poet, author, and publisher. She's phenomenal, and of course, she is the president of the Kentucky State Poetry Society. So yeah, she knows her stuff in and out when it comes to the world of poetry. So this is definitely a presentation you are not going to want to miss. And then from our guest of honor, Heather Graham. Our guest of honor, Heather Graham, we have Right. Imagine what you can do. And Heather, of course, has sold over 60 million books in several genres. So I think she knows a thing or two about this.
And
But
this is also an
yes,
interactive class.
there's Holly. Yeah, there you are.
I pop in.
Surprise.
I am like a ninja
You are like a ninja. but,
or a
yeah,
creeper, whichever,
do you
or a
want? Do you
killer
want?
in the bushes, more
Well,
likely.
I just announced Katerina Stoikova's workshop, and I'm just on Heather's. Do you want to say anything about Heather's while we're at it?
Other
You said
than, yes, it will be
interactive.
interactive, guys. It's going to be really a lot of fun because Heather, for those of you that don't know her, or yeah, go back and listen to a previous episode. I'm not sure what number it is right now, but you can look up Star Chamber
Yeah, it's in
Show,
our
Heather
archive.
Graham.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's in our archive, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere, you can find it, Amazon, iTunes. Anywho, go look it up because you can hear a little bit about her. I got to get her back on the show before Imaginarium and get her to talk
Yes.
about her new stuff, and she can talk more about her workshop. But yeah, she's very, very open to taking questions. She likes to answer questions. She likes to, engage. So this will be a great, great opportunity for those of you to that's just getting in the business, that's independent, small press business, that want to talk to someone who has sold, like Steven said, like 60 million books worldwide. So
Over. Yeah. Over. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. So yeah, it'll be a neat opportunity,
Yep.
and it's
She's
no extra. It's not a it's not a premium
no. No.
workshop. This will be included with the regular admission price. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
regular programming.
Definitely. Yeah, and she is known, in addition to being, just this colossally successful author, as being a great teacher. So, she
Yes.
definitely has a reputation as being a really amazing instructor with creative writing and writing. So that is not the session to miss. And then we also have, two more panels added. We had the architecture of anxiety, crafting unput downable thrillers. Moderator is not yet announced, but yes, this gets into the world of mysteries and thrillers and the architecture of crafting, the architecture of anxiety. Exactly what it says it is. And then we also have the craft of short story writing, and this focuses exclusively on the art of short storytelling and also will entail a little bit about the novella. And the moderator has not yet been announced on that one yet either, but it won't be long before those start to fill in on the moderators. So keep an eye on that, and then I guess this is a great segue before for well, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you about our new panelists real quick, and I'll turn over to Holly for the scoop. You guys get a scoop tonight. But yes, the wonderful author and musician Carl R. Moore, an Imaginarium favorite, is returning this summer as a panelist. Carl R. Moore, yes, and many may mistake him for Dave Grohl at times of the Foo Fighters, and it is there is a resemblance, definitely, and we found some photos that will fool you on both of their pages where you think one's Carl Moore or one's Dave Grohl. It's a thing. So so
You never
you
know.
never
We're
know.
on to you, Carl Moore.
You never know. But it's fun. And he also donated, he's the one that donated the official Imaginarium guitar that you now see around Imaginarium. He's the one that made that donation that
And if
right
and
out of
if
the next
any of
music.
you, where you talk about the guitar, that's the traveling Imaginarium guitar. We bring it every year now. It stays in our living room, and then when we come to Imaginarium, it gets tuned up and we bring it. But if any of you have any promo stickers, anything you'd like to add, bring them to us at Imaginarium. We put them on the guitar.
Yep.
Patrick J.
As
Lamar's got one on there. I think we got a Sandy Linner sticker. We have
yep,
Rhea, of course. We have Remillion stickers. Just several people. We have stickers.
we do as space allows until that thing fills up. But it probably will soon. But there
Yes,
is
we do
space.
have a
There's
Vamp
space.
Chat sticker.
Yes, yes, we
Yes, we
do.
do,
We
Eva. We
do.
we have a we do have a Vamp Chat sticker on there. Sure do.
All right, and we're gonna keep this on course here to make sure we hit our guest slot at a not where don't miss by much. So yes, tell us real quick about the scoop that you have of the new workshop
Barry,
presentation seminar.
Barry, Mayer, Meyer, Mayer,
Maher,
Mayer, Maher.
Maher,
I'll get it out
like
in a minute.
like Bill Maher, but it's Barry Maher.
Yes,
Yes,
it's like Bill, but this is
yes.
Barry, even better, right?
Mm,
Barry is a trip, and I don't even know this whole story, right? He's going to do this presentation about, telling stories for a living and how he has made a living out of this, and how one of his stories that broke him out into the world, and now he makes a living writing his stories and his books and traveling around, doing appearances. Somehow or another, he got accused of forcing Meghan Markle and Prince Harry to move from where they were living. So yeah, this here it was his breakout, right? So I mean, we've got to attend this presentation because I've got to hear this. I told him I absolutely have
yes,
to hear why he was solely responsible for forcing Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to move, and
yeah,
that's what broke him out. And it's going to be humorous. It's going to be interactive. Um, he's going to talk a little bit about his book and about helping people with getting into the life of storytelling and how it can be a business and how you can make real money from doing what you love.
yeah.
So yeah, don't miss it, it's going to be a lot of fun. I just added it today, so it's not even on our webpage yet, sneaky peeky, so be on the lookout for it. We'll be announcing it in the
Yeah.
next couple days, but
Yeah,
it's going to be a lot of fun.
look him up on the page and read his bio. I mean, this guy's amazing,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's got a nationally syndicated column. His humor is just off the hook. I
Oh, he's
love his humor,
hilarious.
and yeah, it's part of his writing. So yeah, humor is part of his writing, and yeah, check it out. But I'll keep us on course here, and we're going to give a spotlight over to Sandy Lander, the genre blender, and Ren Garcia, the two folks that supported and brought you tonight's show. So let me give you a little bit from them real quick, and then we'll get started with our guest segment. So here's a little bit from Sandy.
Did you know that fantasy author Sandy Lender offers more than epic fantasy novels for your escapist tendencies? Oh, my friends, Sandy's imagination can take you to all kinds of crazy or satirically vampiric or horrifying places. She even has soothing poetry to ease you through periods of grief. Visit AuthorSandyLender.com to choose the exact adventure you need today.
And thank you, Sandy. And yes, we always appreciate you. Always, thank you very much. And also Ren. And looking more likely that Ren will be joining us this summer. So here we go. A little bit from Ren.
The League of Elder dares to be unusual. It's easy to be swept away in this bold and uninhibited landscape where fantastic heroes become old friends and sinister villains inhabit every dark corner. Dare to explore things best left alone. Each book is your lantern, lighting the path to a world never before seen. So what do you say? Are you weird enough for us?
Are you weird enough for us, Ren Garcia? That's the question.
That's the question.
Mr. Garcia, you come see us.
Yeah, we'll ask him that
We miss you.
live. We'll ask him that. We'll get his answer live at
You
Imaginary.
better believe it. I want it on recording. I'm recording it.
That's right. And we're on time. We're about to hit the guest segment.
It's a
Barely.
miracle.
So I'm going to start right now with the introduction. Here we go.
Let's go.
Tonight's guest is making his Star Chamber show debut. He is a voice actor and audiobook narrator. He has worked with clients such as Daimler, Amazon, Redbox, and Cobalt. And he is also a semi-professional photographer and artist, and he is also a public school art teacher. So it is my honor and pleasure to bring on to the Star Chamber show for the very first time Michael Lyons.
Hey,
Michael,
good to see. Good, well, not see everybody. Good to
Michael.
hear everybody. Hi, Holly. Hi, Stephen. Good to be here. Thank you
yes,
for having me.
we're
Oh,
great to have
this
you.
this is going to be a terrific show. We have so much to talk about.
Oh,
We
yeah.
do.
So much.
And I love it because we do occasionally have the opportunity to have a narrator or voice actor on the show, but it's always great because it's just so great just to listen to your voices. It's just so play. You have such wonderful voices. So yes, we always get a bonus out of that, and you have one of those voices. But yes, if you want to go ahead, we gave, of course, an introduction for you, but if you'd like to, we'll start to tell the audience maybe just a little bit about yourself in your own words, and then we'll get into the discussion.
All right. Well, it's always an interesting question when people say, "So, what do you do, or how did you get here?" And the answer is, I got from New York to Miami via Seattle and Portland, Dallas, Texas, and then I got here the same way my mother got through a conversation. All right, and so I've done a little bit of everything. Um, I admit that my main goal in becoming a voice actor started when I was really, really little. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure how old the two of you are, but I'm old enough to remember
Ancient.
watching. Yeah, Saturday morning cartoons and a bowl of cereal was my thing before mom and
Yup.
dad told you to get out of the house at
Us
11
too.
Go
o'clock.
outside. Yeah.
Go out,
That was
I'm
me.
sick and tired. There was nothing to watch after 11 o'clock on a Saturday anyway, way back
No.
then,
No.
unless you wanted to watch bowling, and that was about your only choice. So I grew up with Bugs Bunny. I grew up with Laugh Olympics. I grew up with the Super Friends. And Bugs Bunny himself, Mel Blanc, get down on bended knee in front of that man, was somebody who just made me enjoy what I was watching so much because even when I was little, I knew that he was one person doing almost all of these voices. And it impressed me. And I just started doing them. I found myself able to sit there and sort of mimic some of the voices that I heard. Pete Puma was one of the first ones that I really kinda, nailed down as a kid, and I don't know if you remember him. He only showed up in one Looney Tunes cartoon, and he was chasing after a little rabbit, and
Yeah.
he had one of those voices that sounded like John C. Reilly, and, he, and an annoying laugh. My parents must have been in agony hearing me do this all the time. Uh But I just started doing it, and it never really struck me until a couple of years ago why I had a penchant for it because at the age of 50, I finally got diagnosed with ADHD.
Hey, welcome to
And
the club.
yes, ma'am. And that explained a lot of things.
Amen.
In why is dialects show up for me quick and easy. If I can sit and listen to somebody speak naturally in their dialect, I can work it in about an hour. Maybe not convincingly enough to go to where they live and do it, but convincingly enough. And I never knew why that was. Now I know why that is. And it's hyperfixation
Yep.
and rumination, constantly doing it over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we're on to
I
the next thing, and then the next
Yeah,
thing, and then the
yep,
next thing.
but the other things never go away. They
Nope.
just stack up like more pots on the stove, get another stove that's got more
Yep.
burners on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so this came in somewhat handy through school. It usually got me into as much trouble as it got me out of. And well, more so with students than with teachers, I think is what that was. Um, I was the I'm going to admit it, I was the bullied kid. I caught a lot of grief in school. My mouth would get me in more grief. But hey, that was my way of dealing with things. I stopped doing anything resembling art in middle school because I had teachers who said, "Hey, you're not really cut out for this." What it was that ADHD working up to where I could never make a decision or get anything done. And then, so I did theater in high school. I thought that would be a good outlet, theater and choir, singing music.
Right.
And that was my first foray into what I consider paid voiceover, paid voice acting. One of the other teachers that I did not even have for class in high school came up to me one day in the hallway because she had heard me doing probably a horrible impersonation of Robin Leach. And if you guys remember Robin Leach,
Oh, yes.
Yes, lifestyles of the rich and famous.
lifestyles of the rich and famous, right?
Yeah.
And he was so annoying. But she had heard me do that in the hallway, and she came up to me. She goes, yeah, so my brother is putting together a slideshow for an event, and he'd really like to have somebody do Robin Leach for this. Would you mind? Uh, okay. She's like, I can't really pay you, but I can at least give you 2 tickets oh, okay. Sounds like a fine deal for me. So I sat at an old-fashioned 1980s tape recorder and narrated the slideshow as Robin Leach. Well, come to find out, it was one of the main event pieces of Baltimore's Comic-Con or Star Trek convention. So it was Balticon.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
had
yes.
no idea, never been there, hadn't done anything like that. I'm just like, okay, well, whatever. I'm sure it's fun, whatever it is. I got my tickets.
Live long and prosper.
Yes, ma'am. Showed up and literally was like, oh my God, what is going on here? This is sensory overload going on.
Us crazy Trekkies.
Yep. And it was, but that really kind of hooked me in there to where I was like, this is fun. And I
Right,
appreciate that I sort of got paid for that. It was a trade. I'll take it.
right.
I kept doing some of that in college. I majored in acting at Towson University. I was told when I graduated that I had a face made for radio. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll spend some time behind the microphone then, because I was getting paid to do video games when they were still making arcade games.
Wow.
And I thought, this is a good time. Things did not always go the way you want them to go. So
They never do.
no,
We know that.
substitute taught for a good number of years. Did some professional theater work in Baltimore at Center Stage. Went back to substitute teaching, and everywhere in there, every year or so, I would get called in to do another voiceover, and it would just twist at me that I wasn't doing it all the time. And finally, a couple of years ago, after dabbling in it, I finally knuckled down and said, "That's it. I'm gonna make a strong go at this." And I did it the exact way all the people tell you not to do it, which was I went straight to one of the number one pay to plays. And by that, if you don't know what that is, for the non-voiceover folks out there, pay-to-play site is, well, an example would be something like voices.com or Voice123, where you pay to be a member of the platform, and then the auditions come across your feed. Thing is, you could be going up against hundreds or sometimes even over 1,000 people in a cattle call for the same
Right.
audition, trying to get jobs. And I started getting work from it, even though they told you, you really shouldn't do that. You're jumping in the shark tank. Well, apparently I must have a fin on my back because I jumped in and I just started biting, and things started clicking. And like any other business, it's up and down, up and down.
Of course.
And in the past year, I have cut back my teaching hours for the moment to give the freelance world a full-time go. And I am learning a lot about freelance business and the fact that it has almost nothing to do with my voice. And so it's been an interesting ride, but here I am. Oh, thrown
Hey.
in the mix there because I know it's going to come up later. I spent 13 years of my time in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania,
Yes, I
doing
want to hear about this.
doing ghost tours as a
Yes.
storyteller.
That's
And
awesome.
it was probably some of the best time of my life being there, because as a storyteller, there was no end to things to talk about. When I first got
Or no.
hired
Mm-mm.
when I
Yeah.
first got there, they hand you a packet of stories, depending on which business that you hook up with. And you learn the stories, you learn the spots, you go to the spots, and you tell the traditional stories. Within
Right.
6 months, I did not need any of that anymore. because
You
of
had
the
your own
things that
stories.
happened on my tours in
Yeah.
front of people. I have many friends who became friends on that tour because weird crap happened and they were there for it. And they would come back and they'd want to hear me tell the story about it when it happened to them. And they'd be like, "Yep, that was me. We were here. We were here when that happened, man." I saw, heard, smelt, felt just oddness for 13 years working there.
Wow. Yep.
Wow.
That's yeah. We're both we both talk to a lot of folks that are in the paranormal field and have an interest in that
Well,
ourselves. And
we live
but
it.
yeah, I
I
imagine
we
Gettysburg
live
is
it.
Gettysburg has definitely come up in a lot of stuff. So
Yes, and I've never been. I would love to go.
yeah.
I'm clairvoyant, so I would
Oh, well, if you ever
love.
decide you're gonna come over and do that, I am not far away. You let me know. I will show up.
Fantastic,
Wonderful.
Steve. Road trip.
Road trip. Well, I've been there during the day with my father. He took me to see the battlefield, but I have not, like I said, I've not gotten to go under that context, the one both of you are talking about. So that would be a lot of fun. The more,
That would be so
yeah,
much fun because believe me, I am like a throwing gasoline on a fire. People say, "Oh, strange things have happened." Where I walk in, it's like ping, 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 ping. They all wake up. They all want to talk at the same time. I'm like, chill. I'm not. No, y'all gotta calm down. One come forward at a time. To chit chat. But yeah, I mean, you would see a lot of things. When I first moved in with Steve, I had to warn him, and he thought I was crazy. I think until he found out, no, she's
nope,
not crazy. When
she's
he was
not crazy.
up searching for the voices one night, and I'm like, they're dead. There's not people in our house. They're dead. He's like, no, I
It
hear
sounds
voices. Yeah,
it sounds like a wild story, but yeah, I can
yeah,
absolutely attest it
yeah.
happened. So
So I would
yeah,
love to hear some of your
interesting.
stories.
Yeah, I'd love.
We got to
I
do
would
that.
love to
Side
hear.
note,
Yeah, I would
I want
love
to
to
hear
hear
your
some of those
stories.
stories. Yeah,
Happy to
definitely.
talk about them. But that's
Well,
kind of
what's
me in a
what's some
nutshell
what's
right now.
like one of your best ones? What's one that's just like sent
Yeah,
chills up your spine?
yeah,
That was
one
the most
maybe.
like burned into your brain.
Well, all right. I tell you what. I mean, there's some that are lengthy, but I'll give you an example of something that happened actually twice,
Okay.
um, with a crowd of people. Now, I used to do a tour at one point with some other storytellers with me, guys named Cliff and Dave, if they happen to be listening in. But when they both moved on to other things, I kept doing the late night mature tour. We would start in the haunted cellar of one of the most haunted buildings in Gettysburg. And I'd spend about 45 minutes to an hour down there and starting at 11 o'clock at night. And by midnight, we'd be out in the woods, no lantern, just the dark in your eyes. And those woods in particular at the base of Cemetery Hill are some of the most haunted spots you're going to find in Gettysburg. And there was a lot of activity in there all the time, especially from one particular rather grumpy spirit in there. But in there one night, I had a group of about 75 people
Oh my God.
standing in a little knot in the corner of the woods, all of them terrified, and me with my back to whatever action might be going on. And as I'm in the middle of in the middle of telling them about it, somebody behind me says my name. So of course I
Oh, that's
stopped and
fun.
I turned around and I said, "Yes."
Mhm.
And I got no response. I was like,
Mhm.
somebody just called my name and everybody's looking at me. And I just said, uh-huh. Raise your hand if you heard my name. And probably 15 of the 70 some slowly put their hand up. And the rest of the people said nothing. They just stared because they didn't hear it. I said,
Ah.
where did that come from? And the girl standing right next to me pointed between herself and her friend right behind me. And I'm like, "Oh, so you both heard it?" And they're like, "Yes, can we go now?" I'm like, "Oh, absolutely not. We are staying. If that's
Right.
gonna happen
Yes,
in front
we
of a
are.
crowd of people, we are staying." That things like that were there was no other explanation for it. and especially when you have an entire crowd of people hear that happen. And
Mhm.
Yes.
I was there for things like I I will admit I never saw that full-bodied Victorian Gothic style apparition. Not me. Other people did, sometimes
Mhm.
on my tours. One night
Uh-huh.
in particular, I was out there with maybe 5 people. It just happened to be that kind of a night. It was a weeknight. And as I'm standing there starting to just talk about the woods before I even get to this particular young lady spirit, one of the girls just starts freaking out. She starts crying, she starts backing away from me, and she's like, oh my god," and I'm like, "What's going on?" She goes, "Someone just walked right behind you." I was like, "How far away behind me?" She said, "Maybe 5 feet." "Really? Can you describe her to me?" She said, she looked a lot like a very, very upset 13-year-old goth girl in a nightgown. I said, "Let's talk about Elizabeth then, shall we? Because that's why we're down
Uh-huh.
here." She with no prompting, told me exactly what I was going to tell her about.
Nice.
That's my I'm like, "Oh, I love this kinda thing." Because that just and of course, the next night, guess what I was talking about? The
Yeah.
exact thing that happened the night before.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It,
Good
it's the
stuff.
same. It's like writing. You write
Oh,
from
yeah.
experience. Storytelling, same thing. You're telling. You're sharing from experience, and
Mhm.
that's what we have done as human beings since the days of the cavemen. Right, sitting around fires when they were grunting, but when language come about, we sit around fires telling the stories. That's how the Native Americans passed down their knowledge. That's how every tribe throughout history passed down knowledge after ancestor after ancestor after ancestor.
Yeah,
Storytelling.
oral tradition,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's all
Yeah.
oral
Mhm.
storytelling until people got to writing it down. But books, didn't come about till not that many
Mhm.
years ago compared to,
Yeah,
the
yours.
whole
Yeah,
civilization, that we
Right.
think about. So, yeah. So it
The
was
oral
oral storytelling.
the oral tradition is well, it's probably our oldest one of our oldest traditions in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And and I know we had, discussed at some point maybe the AI discussion, but seeing the past few years, have been watching sort of the oral tradition sort of take a sidestep,
Yeah.
away from well, even in film over the past, I would say 30 years to maybe 40 years, the whole concept of a narrator has just sort of vaporously wafted away. I'm not saying nobody does it. They still do it.
It's just not
But
common.
up until that point, the whole concept of having a narrator as a verbal guide through what you were doing, Shakespeare did it, Live Stage did it,
Yes.
Mhm.
and it's coming back, though. It's coming back because there's been a
It
really
is.
and I've seen it on a lot of audition platforms and everything that there's a lot more desire now for the storyteller component.
Human.
Uh, human.
Mhm.
The human component of that, because the AI will never get the human nuance.
No.
Mm.
It'll be imitated. They can imitate it all day, but they're never going to be able to have the energy to play off a crowd, to play off an audience, storytelling to, or to entice a reader like quite like we can, because they don't have the complexity to understand the human experience
No,
like
and
we do.
they can't interact and they can't
No,
react.
no, not
So
like
the
we
re
do.
Right, and actually, I have to laugh about this because, when I had thought about, even tapping on the AI discussion as a voice actor, I posted something on LinkedIn, just saying, "Hey guys, anybody who wants to come and listen to the podcast tonight," and put the bumper up and everything like that.
Yeah.
And about 5 minutes, I'm actually gonna read it. I'm gonna pull it up here and read it because
Oh,
I
can't wait to hear this.
laughed.
Did you get a troll? Did you get a troll
I got a bot.
or a bot?
Oh, goody, goody,
I got
yay!
within so this was 3 hours ago. So literally minutes after I had posted it. Here's what this particular person said. Such a brilliant episode. Hearing the synergy between talented creators always provides so much inspiration. Michael's insights into the industry are pure gold. What
Wow.
kind of time-traveling devilry is this?
We need to get a hold of that
That's
person. We need to
that's
find out.
witchcraft, right? Burn the witch!
Absolutely.
Burn the
Hey, hey.
witch!
We need to get a hold of them.
Exorcise the demons.
We found the time traveler. We found him.
You know what it is? It's the antimatter that they've been portably traveling to get to the CERN. That's what it is.
Large
That's what it
Hadron
is.
Collider. It's operating right now. So
It is concerning for sure.
yeah. That's
Love it.
great. Oh, he's my kind of guy. Oh, he loves the fun.
I fell out of my chair because I'm like, dude, I appreciate the compliments and everything, but we haven't
Thank
even
you.
done it yet.
Thank
My
you.
God, man. So, there's a little AI bot for you right there. Thankfully, he's listed as a third. He is not a friend. He will not be. So, but as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh no, I have to tell them about that because that's wonderful.
Now I'm gonna find him and ask if he can take me back to the 1980s for about a week just to visit. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I want to go back to the damn timeline before 2020, where we all need to be, because the creative world was a whole different ball game. Since 2020, none of us have ever been the same. Everything's messed up. The creative world, we're fighting these AIs, which we're going to be forced to integrate to some degree, like using as research or using to help optimize our time. Or, I will admit, I use Gemini as research to answer a question real quick. Or if I'm editing and I get stumped on something, I'm like, wait a minute, let me check to make sure I am right. Right. And so I will, ask Gemini or look it up. And it's a whole lot quicker than me having to do a Google search, blah, blah,
Google
blah, blah,
search.
blah.
Yeah, it's faster than Google search. Yeah.
But using it to say, hey, I want to write a book about,
No.
George
Yeah.
that went to the jungle, write the book for me. No, that is
not generative, creative,
no.
generative. Yeah.
That's where you're crossing a line, and that has unfortunately been seeping into our world. Same way with audiobook narration, right? You can go to Google, you can go all these sites that it'll do it for you. The bot will do it for you. But does the bot sound like a human? No, because it don't understand the nuance.
No, and if you and my ear being what it is for listening to voices for ages, I'm listening to commercials on the radio or on whatever, YouTube, doesn't matter.
Right.
And within seconds, I'm going, that's AI voice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they're like, well, but it sounds so realistic. I'm like, not if it doesn't know how to pronounce certain words.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the inflections.
That's it.
What was the one notorious one? Was for Walgreens. Now, they fixed it since then. But the narrator of it was like, get what you need this weekend from Walgreens. I'm like, no, that's a pronunciation issue. And within about, I don't know, a month or so of that being out, suddenly it sounded right. Like, because somebody went back and was like, no, we need to change that in there.
Too many people complain. Yeah, too many people.
AI has a purpose, and especially as
it does.
I am an organizational tornado. My attempts to be organized are comical at best. So using something like, an AI kind of tool to make sure that I'm doing what I need to get done at some point, because I'm not going to be able to. They're like, well, make yourself a calendar, please. I can't even make dinner without making a mess. So having something like that is one thing, but I would never tell my AI calendar assistant to go read my narration for me. Because I
Yeah.
want to hear I want to hear a genuine emotional component to
Mhm.
what I'm listening to.
Correct. Correct.
Which is why we're gonna, AI music. Well,
Uh,
if you're not having a human voice in it, you can probably get away with it a little bit more, but even then, there's no feel.
Mm-mm.
no, it's
And
the energy.
it's too polished. It's too perfect as far
Yes.
as, like, the
Yeah.
technical aspect.
And,
It's
and, and that's where, humanity, we crave, even those of us that are, I'm the omnivert. I like, when I'm out in public, I am on. Anybody that knows me knows I'm loud, I'm crazy, woo, I'm on. But when I'm at home, yeah, I'm doing puzzles, I'm drinking my wine, I'm reading, writing, doing work. I'm not quite as loud. Grandkids
Ah,
would beg to
I don't
differ.
know. I don't know.
Stephen would beg to
Close.
differ. I can be provoked and be loud, but yeah,
I don't believe
usually
that
I
for a
just want
second.
left the hell alone to my own devices and let me learn more about murder and true crime and watch my murder documentaries.
And
That's my
Victorian
happy place,
and your Victorian shows, yeah.
and my Victorian shows. So
Yeah.
that's it. With being a human, we all have our own little ticks, our own little likes, dislikes, um, characteristics, behavior, um, emotional response. AI is, I'm sorry, they're going to get better and better, but they're never going to be able to connect with that. And as humans, we have to have human connection
And I'm
or
gonna
we
use
break down. We
I'm
break
gonna
down.
use I wanna use a popular example to illustrate Michael's point here, and that is when it comes to music. Everybody knows I'm a lifelong Kiss fan, and I
Mm.
love, Ace Frehley was always my favorite, and, got hopefully God has him in his hand right now. I was really sorry to his passing,
Yes.
Ace Frehley's style of guitar playing was always loved because it was a little sloppy. It
Yeah.
wasn't perfect. It had little technical flaws in it, but it gave him this sound. It
That
gave
was
him
his
this
style.
feel that everybody loved, that inspired a gazillion hard rock and metal guitar players to pick up guitars. And they'll tell you,
Yeah.
Ace Frehley is the one that got me excited to play the guitar.
Because it
Many
wasn't a
because
error. That was
yeah,
his style.
it was just that's the way he played, and it was unique. And like an AI creation wouldn't mimic that, right?
No.
Because it was definitely a very unique to Ace kind of thing. And so yeah, I think definitely. I mean,
So,
there's aspects, and we talked a couple weeks ago about this with our guest Virginia Smith. She's a great author, but her husband is Bradley is a stage
playwright.
actor, and we were talking playwright,
Yep.
and we are talking about how I think stage is going to be coming back
Yep.
stronger because people are going to hunger for the stage performance and
Yep.
that live thing, just like vinyl has made this resurgence and now is
Hmm.
over a billion-dollar market. I just saw vinyl's over $1 billion market now. It's like people are hungry for the tangible, for the
Well,
real, for
and
the
it's coming back around with printed books. I
mhm,
mean, it was rough for a while. Nobody was
yeah,
buying printed books at all.
all ebook,
Nobody.
yeah.
They were
We
they were
saw it.
all wanting to
Yep.
do, um, you
Mhm.
know, the Amazon, the Kindle. They was all wanting to do Kindle
Ebooks, yeah.
or ebooks.
Mhm.
And so it was hard to sell. It was hard to sell at conventions. It was hard, but now
Bookstores are
people.
closing, yeah,
Yeah,
all kinds of
bookstores
stuff.
are closed. Now you've got more and more indie bookstores opening. You've got more.
Mhm.
It's all coming back around. Everything cycles.
And
So
if you
I
Well,
think
I
it's
think it's the
it's the
hunger. I think
same
it's
way
the
with
hunger for the
narration.
tangible. Yeah, and like with narration, with the stage, with the tangible media. I
Yeah.
think people are hungering for, the real, and that's what's it's gonna make a growth. I think people will be attracted to it.
Well, and people don't realize how much work goes into what you do.
Mhm.
People think, oh, you're just reading a book, or you're just. It is a lot of freaking work. It's
It is.
hours. It's editing. It's
Yep.
and the finished product can be anywhere from, like, 5 hours to freaking 15 hours or more if
I
it's a
I
big book.
I try to explain to people when they're like, especially when I have to send a quote off to somebody for how
Mhm.
much it might be, when we're not talking about royalty share or something like that. And I'm like,
Right.
"Well, what's the word count on the book?" "Okay, well, that book's gonna be about 8 hours. We are talking about 16 hours to read that." That's
Mhm.
because of mistakes and
Yep.
changes and things that I'm not happy with.
Right.
Mhm.
And then every 20 minutes of raw audio takes about an hour to edit. Now that's me. Some people probably go faster
Mhm.
than that. And some people may go a little slower, but that's,
No,
that's
that's
kinda
polishing it.
common.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
if you're talking about, let's say we're talking about a 10-hour book, we're talking about 20 hours to read and then
Mhm.
60 hours to edit this.
Mhm.
And
Right.
that's
Oh,
if you
yeah.
were doing it 8 hours a day, we're still talking about a week and a half. And they're like, "Well, I was really hoping I could keep this under, like, $150 to $200." No, sir.
Nope.
No.
I would love to be able to do that for you, but
Right.
that's not where we are right now. It
Right.
it takes a sig and it's an art. It is
It is.
if you wanted
Mhm.
to s I'll give you an example. One of my favorite ones that I narrated, fairly recently, was The Wind in the Willows. And, I if you don't know that one, it is a classic.
Oh, it was my favorite growing up as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a good story and such a good humorous look at life in the early 1900s, late 1800s,
Yes.
early 1900s in England.
Mhm.
Yes.
And, of course, it's British, and I
The
am not,
best.
but I still got it, and I read the whole thing in a British dialect,
Oh, I've
including
gotta hear
character
this now.
including character voices. So I had to come up with
Mhm.
character voices that needed to be British, but of course
Uh-huh.
I
Mhm.
didn't want them all to sound the same. So,
Right.
you've got Otter who sounds like he's from the West Country, and you've
Oh,
got,
yeah.
this you've got Rat who sounds a little more,
Oh, yeah.
upper class and that sort of thing. And so throughout all of that, I have to try and, okay, nope, gotta go back and reread that sentence because that was not how that was supposed to sound. Or
Mhm.
the more characters you get thrown in there, the more you try to have to manage, well, how far do I wanna go with this? Do I want them to just be subtle enough in difference that you can tell who it is, or do we need something totally different in the style of a character voice? Um, it for me was one of the it was very challenging, and I loved it because it was. And there were moments, and there's a moment in there. There's one particular chapter where Mole and Rat are. It's snowed and it's Christmas Eve, and they're trying to get back, and Rat's not paying attention to Mole and leaving him behind, and Mole like breaks down and cries angry at Rat because of how he feels like he's been treated. And I did a one taker on it because I cried while I was reading it. I got so upset while reading it that I was blubbering, and it came out with I was stuttering, I was making mistakes, and I got through all of it, and I went, "I am keeping every freaking word of what I just read,"
Yes.
Mhm.
because it hurt while I was reading it, and it was
Right.
supposed to hurt. And
The
I when I
emotional
was
response.
Mhm.
and it felt horribly wonderful
Yes.
when I got done with it, and
Mhm.
that's one of those things that you're gonna get that from a human.
That's
Yep.
right.
Not
So,
something that can
The
be
comedy
replicated.
and tragedy, right? And
Not
that's what I said, they're never gonna understand that. They're never gonna get those nuances. And I love that you left that because a lot of narrators would have wanted to stay, stone faced and stonewalled and not show. But I
yes,
love that
some
because
would.
I
Yeah.
listen to audiobooks. Stephen knows
Mhm.
he don't really get into the audio like I do, but we do publish a lot of audiobooks and some of his is on audio, but I listen to audiobooks. I love when the narrator leaves in the emotional response where you hear their breath shake, where you hear they're fighting back the tears. It's not acting, it's real. It's
Mhm.
real emotional response that you hear they have not edited out. That's
Mhm.
perfection. That's
that's
what AI will never get.
that's and there's and that's the thing about I come at it as a storyteller, point of view. It's
Yep.
like if I were reading this to a group of people in the room, that would that would almost be even more necessary
Yeah.
because otherwise they're going to get bored real fast. If you think about old film, you watch some of the earliest movies that were put on film. They
Oh,
are
yeah.
stage plays on film.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Scenes
Yes.
that would take 5 minutes with no cut and the same
Yep.
angle, and then slowly over time it transitions to where we start getting shorter cuts and shorter clips, and
Mhm.
there's lots of technical reasons why you wanna do that, but I'm gonna say it, and I know I'm gonna catch some grief on this one, but one of the reasons is if you can't memorize the lines and act your way through the scene like you have to on stage, we have to start cutting things.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
Oh,
not saying it's everybody.
Oh, we
we've
understand that, honey. We were also filmmakers, and
oh, we know.
Lord, do we know the actors?
Lord, do we know.
Line.
Line,
Yeah.
line.
Yeah,
We know
and
all about that.
I get that there's, times have changed and there's pressure and these kind of things, but there's it's gotten so fast now that I think they said the average length of a scene before it cuts is anywhere from 1/2 to 3 seconds, especially in children's shows, and they're like, "Well, we're just trying to keep up with their attention span," or is their attention span mirroring what you're doing? It's probably a little bit of both, but I
Mhm,
think and I may be wrong on this one, but I think we're gonna start seeing a shift to longer cuts as we start getting more into live theater being a thing again,
mhm,
because
Yeah.
it's gonna be easier for people to sit through it. You try to show somebody, somebody young a scene from, the old version of any movie, and they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, how do you sit through this?" Like,
Right.
well, you watch and you listen and you take it in.
mhm,
Now, if it doesn't pop, explode, or come in a shocking color, it's hard to
In
sit
five
through.
seconds.
Yep. But I think we're gonna start, and I think I've actually seen it start to shift some to where we are getting, uh, longer scenes. One that I just popped off the top of my head. This may seem like an odd one, but John Wick,
mhm,
Uh-huh.
okay? Love my John Wick movies. The fight scenes are so well choreographed that some of them are one-shot fights.
mhm.
They're
Yeah.
literally you're in the same camera frame for
Yep.
the entirety of an entire
Yep.
thing, which means it had to be choreographed and it had to be danced out so many times
Perfectly.
or d or done right, the first couple times.
Right.
Mhm,
And that just shows that the ability is there as long as we take advantage of it and start working it in there again, and I'm looking forward to seeing a little more of the ability to sit and take things in.
mhm.
Yeah.
I think that's coming. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm already seeing
And
hints
it
of it.
reminds me, and I think you would enjoy this, Michael, if you haven't seen it yet, is the film Hamnet.
Haven't
Um,
seen it yet.
okay, you need to watch it. Stephen has not seen it yet. I watched it in quiet solitude of the midnight hours because I don't sleep. I'm an insomniac, so I watch things. It's a work of art, right? And they do that. It's drawn out scenes because it's drawing that emotional response. You have to pay attention. And loving Shakespeare, which I do and respect, and I love the theater, which you are familiar with and love. You will love this. It is a true work of art, and yes, you have to watch it
Mhm,
where there's quiet. You can take it all in and enjoy it, just as if you would be at the theater or in a film studio or whatever. But you have to be able to immerse yourself into it and pay attention because it is Shakespearean. But
That's
it is a true work of art, and it's drawing on those emotional responses like you're talking about, drawing the audience in, drawing the people in.
mhm.
um and I'm sorry, it's something that the AI is never going to be able to do.
In the
and
same way.
and
Yeah.
and what is one piece of advice that you could give people going into the business, that maybe been in the business, not doing so well, here and there with it. What's one piece of advice you could give them to fight against this AI? Something they can do to stand out against AI?
Make mistakes. Don't
Okay.
be afraid to make mistakes. Um, the one thing that I've been hearing from a lot of casting directors lately is that they are now starting to listen because they want to hear mistakes in auditions. They want to hear the human component. Um, leaving breaths in, doing that kind of thing. And the
Yes.
one thing also the fact that you can tell if somebody believes what they're saying.
Yes.
A AI isn't there yet.
Mm.
It's just
No.
not there. There's no uh, there's no there's no real urgency. There's no
Uh-uh.
real emotional connection
Uh-uh.
at this time anyway. So,
Mhm.
I guess that would be one of the things is, from an voice acting is acting. It just so happens that instead of a camera, you have a microphone. Instead of a
Mhm.
stage, your stage is the radio or whatever it is that gets to hear you later.
And this, you
Mhm.
have to do it with your voice. You have to do it with your breath work. And like television and film and stage, you can do with your gestures, your facial expressions. You don't have that with voice acting. You have to use your voice. That is your tool.
It is,
Mhm.
and you have to be able to get the point across with less,
Yep.
with
Mhm.
fewer resources. And the key to that is that you are in the moment, you know who you're talking to, and why you're talking to them.
Do
And
you ever
that's
use sound effects at all? Do you use like practical sound effects? Like, uh, what comes to mind is the old Monty Python. I love it so much. Where he did the coconuts, clip, 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 clop, clip, 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 clop,
uh,
like the horses clop. Do you ever
Yeah,
use
the
like
Holy
sound
Grail,
effects?
yeah.
Yeah,
that
I love the
depends.
Holy Grail.
Usually for a regular audiobook client, unless they ask for it, no, I don't.
Okay.
Because that starts to fall into the audio I would call it the audio drama category.
Mhm.
Yep.
Now and that's just my opinion on it.
Okay.
I've had 1 or 2 situations where they're like, "Yeah, we need a little bit of this or we need a little bit of that."
Uh huh.
On my own pieces that I've done, things like that I've put on, I did A Christmas Carol a couple years ago and put it on my YouTube channel,
Fun.
full
Nice.
fully with music and sound effects and things like
Huh.
that. Not overwhelming. I did, the, uh The Legend of Sleepy Hollow was the first one I actually did, and I guess that's been 4
Ooh.
years ago. I have most folks have been very happy with that, but I tell you what, when somebody doesn't like it, they're gonna tell you. And
Oh
Mhm.
I've had
yeah, you always get that.
Oh, oh, yes.
crotchety people that are like,
Yep.
trying to listen to a good story over top of sound effects and music. Dislike. I'm like, "Dear God, man, I hope you never listen to old time radio, okay? You can listen to Gunsmoke on the radio because
Boomer,
that's
go
what
to bed.
they do."
Boomer, go to bed. Yeah.
And like, you take the pill have you forgotten your childhood?
Yo.
Okay?
No kidding.
And
Yeah, I know,
so
no kidding.
when I do my own stuff, I will work that in there. One of the things that I've been I hopped onto the wonders of TikTok back in December for marketing mostly. Otherwise, I'll get stuck in a doom scroll. But
Yeah, I know. Me too. So I stay away.
one of the things that I like that a lot of people do is voice acting studies and voice acting challenges. So I'll take a
Uh
clip
huh.
from, Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
Uh
redo
huh.
the voices in it, and then I have to, of course, recreate the soundscape in it because it's not going to work if I don't.
Right.
And so that gives me a chance to play with that because it's more me.
Mhm.
I
Making it
would love it.
yours. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would love it if, at some point down the road, somebody was like, "Yeah, I'd like you to narrate this book, but I'd love for it to have sound effects and everything else going on in the background." Right now, that's sort of a me domain, not so much a client thing. I think, though, I have taken part in a couple of audio dramas lately where they've had multiple cast members reading into it. And they tend to start pushing the sound effects in there because it is more of an audio drama in
Uh-huh.
that situation. I'm a fan of it. I love it.
It's cool. It is
It
cool.
is cool.
Mhm. Yeah, we had two of our the guests that we love at Imaginarium, Devin Hilton and Tim Miller,
Yes, that's who I was
have
thinking
have
about.
done
Tim
some
Miller. Yeah.
amazing audio drama work with their, Rapture at Silver Creek, and it is something else.
Yeah, they had
All
narrators
that
from like Britain and stuff, and we did a big
all
workshop at
that.
Imaginarium
Mhm.
last year,
But they
and
did extensive
they called
soundscape,
in.
and made
Yeah,
like a movie, like a feature film level soundscape underneath it, and it was just really, really neat. But again, like you said, that has its roots in those, early, radio plays and so forth. Back to War of the Worlds and all that stuff. Even so, yeah, a
I tell you,
lot of that.
I would love to do one of the first big production things that I did way back in high school, 1987, I guess, 87, 88. The Annapolis Brass came to my school for a public performance, like a one show deal. Um, and they said, we need somebody to narrate Peter and the Wolf because they were going to do the brass
fun.
version of Peter and the Wolf. And
Okay.
the, drama teacher was like, I have your man. And so I got to sit in front of a crowd of, 2,000 people or so at 16 years of age and narrate Peter and the Wolf along with a professional brass, I guess, quintet at the time. Hooked, totally hooked me, doing something like that. But one of those things that I look forward to doing at some point, and I may just have to put it together myself, is I would love to do a live reading of a story with music and sound effects on stage. Don't need any actors, nothing like that, but rather than me producing it and reading it and putting it out on, on YouTube or something like that, to actually live perform read the story, much like, Patrick Stewart did when he started doing A Christmas
Yeah.
Carol on his own.
Yes. Well,
I think that would
hey,
be a great
I'll
thing.
go. Listen to me. I got you one, Michael. You come see us at Imaginarium, because we put on this big convention every year. I'll send you all the deets in Louisville, Kentucky. We have people from other countries. We have people from all over the U.S. We have creators of all kind. We do an international film fest. It's all based around creative writing and all the genres, songwriting, I mean,
Yeah,
just
all that
everything,
fun stuff.
drama,
Yeah,
the playwrights, it's on and on, narration,
you got
everything
it
you can
covered.
think of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I've
would
got it
love it.
covered, right? I would give you stage time to tell and to do that if you would like to do that. So get with me. We'll chit chat about it. If you have time in July, love to
yeah,
have you out, and I would give you stage time to do so.
Well, I
that'd
would
be
love to
cool.
talk to you about that and figure out what might be a good thing to do. If I couldn't manage it this year, I would certainly hop on
Next
it
year,
next year when I got,
Yep,
yep,
yeah,
I would love
be
and fingers
great.
crossed we may be an even larger venue by next year. But
Yep, yep. We've
Holly,
got to move. We're out of space.
yeah, but Holly told me that we have a special caller. So
We
I was
do.
somebody wanted to come in and just ask a question. And
sure.
he is on the air here right now. Eric, are you on the air?
I'm actually on my feet.
Hi,
Yeah,
Eric.
Well, that's a good thing.
there he is. Okay, you can chime in
Eric,
now.
you got the floor. Meet Michael. Michael Eric. He's a
Hey,
Hi,
future
Mike.
Eric.
guest, by the way. So here we go.
Hey, Michael. Hi, guys.
Hi.
I hope everyone's doing well.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
doing good.
yes.
That's good. But, Michael, I agree with you about AI because I was speaking to Holly. You can do, I always hear people say, oh, yeah, I can write 20,000 words in 1 month for my book or, in a week. And I'm like, are you using AI? Because, AI can help you do that. You can't get that true feeling as an author would if they experience something like pain or suffering or joy. I mean,
Exactly.
AI can just say, yes, you will feel a sensation of adrenaline that goes through your veins and you'll be happy. And it's like, well, great.
Similar to what the bot told Michael earlier on LinkedIn about his interview that hadn't even happened yet.
Time
Yes.
travel.
Well, and yes, and I agree with you on that one, because all AI is really doing in that situation is looking for 15 other examples or 15,000 other examples of what somebody else wrote about what a heartbreak feels like.
Mhm.
Grabs it and says, well, this seems like a good derivative of what that is. I'll put this in there without really having any sense of the way where it hurts and how it hurts me different from how it hurts you. So there's no relationship involved in that situation because the humanity's not there.
Well, I would not disagree with you one bit, because I remember my new book coming out in I believe it's July, Deceptive Protocol. I remember I met someone that was working for the federal government. She couldn't say what agency she worked for, but I could easily guess. And I
Right.
said, "Hey, can you just read this chapter and give me your feedback?" It was talking about, the CIA forming a new team to go overseas and do stuff, et cetera, et cetera. And I mentioned, real people. I tried to describe them the best I could, and there's some fictitious characters. And about a week later, she says, "You nailed it." And
Yeah.
and I said, "Hey, can you elaborate?" She said, "No."
Well, the simple
and,
fact that she couldn't means you nailed it.
Yeah.
and so I asked, I said, "What, how did I nail it?" She says, "The best way to describe it to you without me getting in trouble is for someone who's never been in one of those meetings and probably will never, and who's never been in an agency, like she said," and she says, "You nailed it, because
Yeah.
that's how they talk, that's how they act, this and that." And she said, you did your research because you mentioned the different colored passports, the three options they always talk about. And she says, "High five to you."
The
I,
details. That's it. And you're
Right.
never going to get that from AI, right?
no.
I mean, you're not going to get that feedback. You're not going to get that, it's just, it's the
It'll say,
human
well,
response.
they might say, "Well, this is very Tom Clancy-esque," or forget the other spy thriller writers out there. But that doesn't help me out. But someone who's been in that industry for was nearly 40 years and gives me a high
Yeah.
five.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
That's congratulations. That's well deserved.
Yep.
So what would you, Michael, what advice would you give someone like Eric that's just getting into this world, getting his books out, doing very well, I will say. But what advice do you give him as far as like getting his book onto audio? What should he look for in a narrator? That our audience would be glad to hear that.
Yes.
What should you
What a
look
yeah,
for in a
good question.
narrator?
There's a couple different ways that a lot of people, of course, will, head on over to the ACX type platform,
Yes.
which can be dangerously easy. In that you can put it out there and, 10, 20, or 200 people can send their sample
And you have to
of
wait 7 years if you do a royalty share and
right.
you give them exclusive
Right.
rights, 'cause we have
And
used them, I will admit, because 'cause we're a small press, and we have used ACX, and I am familiar, so go ahead.
right. But from both from an author and a narrator standpoint, that there's a really sharp cutting edge to that,
Yeah,
in what you will see and what we see in the way of profits and things like that.
uh-huh,
One of the things that I would recommend considering, is rather than putting it out there and seeing who pounces, do some research first. What are other successful books that might be in the genre that you have listened to or that you could listen to and go, "Yeah, that's kind of what I'm after." And that allows you to narrow it down a little bit more. Maybe you look up the narrator directly and go to them directly rather than through a platform and say, "Hey, I'd like to talk about the possibilities and what the costs might be." It may not be where you want it to be. That might be a little too much. And if that's the case, ask them, who else might you point me to? Most of us are pretty cool. We're going to tell you
right. Can we
if
work
we know
something
somebody.
out? Can we do, yeah,
Um,
this or that?
right.
Yeah,
My I had the pleasure of being approached directly to do an audiobook 2 years ago. And as a narrator, not having to go through a platform, literally having somebody say, "Hey, I hit your website. I listened to the other stuff that you did, and I'd really like to know what we could work out here." Because they were looking for something that I really did kind of fit into.
Uh-huh.
So, researching, don't I understand the desire to be like, the book's coming out to print. I really, really need to get this out there, in audiobook form also. Well, yes, but you need to make sure that you're approaching it carefully enough that what you're getting in the way of tone, quality, and everything else is going to specifically match what you heard when you wrote it. And
That's it. You want the author to hear what they heard in their head. And that
correct.
brings me to a segue. You can finish your thought, but a segue to that is, how do you feel about, like say Eric, he writes, like military thriller, Stephen writes fantasy, horror, different genres, cross genres. How do you feel about narrators maybe outside of their comfort zone, maybe narrating that? Like, if you go and hear their stuff and maybe they've only done romance, but you'd be like, oh man, that's really the voice I heard for, my main character in this military thriller. You know, do you feel that it's okay to still reach out to that person?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Um, Sometimes the best surprises, the best things come from the surprises, the people that you never thought would have been cast in a movie. And you're like, "Oh my god, I never would have thought of that, but boy, did that work."
Mhm.
Um, and in some cases, by pushing somebody out of their comfort zone, if you think it's gonna work, forces humanity back into it.
Yep.
Because you're actually having to consider a little bit more what it is that you're doing because you're not in your zone.
Mhm.
And so it certainly is worth, approaching somebody else and going, "Hey, I know you normally don't do this, but would you consider this? Or, could I pay you to read a chapter?" Um,
Could you do this
I
accent? Could you do that?
Right. What
Yeah.
what what accents do you have in your wheelhouse? I wouldn't suggest asking them to read a whole chapter for free. That's pushing it a little bit.
Yeah.
Right,
But
right.
if you're
Yes,
trying
sir.
to figure out if something's gonna work, just be like, I'm
A
trying to
few
find the right
lines of
person."
dialogue.
Yep. Yep. And,
Yeah, that's what I send narrators. I'm like, here's a paragraph. Can you read this for me? I'll pick out a paragraph or have the
A
author,
couple. Yeah.
I'll ask our author, give me a paragraph of dialogue that you want to hear, and then a paragraph of just, straight narration. Yeah,
Mhm.
and then I send that to our narrators. Because
and
that's what you want to hear. You want to hear and like Eric, I know you'd want to hear like maybe a Russian accent, maybe, different things like that. But
Well, I was going
go
to
ahead.
say what my perfect utopia for an audiobook would be like the old radio shows from the 1920s and 30s. And I'm sure
Mhm.
Michael knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, you could
yeah.
say, it's like, you hear the creaking of the wood or you hear, oh,
Yeah,
someone's at the door.
more of the drama. That's
Yeah.
what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
The
That.
audiobook
Yeah.
Right.
dramas. That's where you
Mhm.
get into more of the background noises. That's where you get into. That's what we were talking about. Devin Hilton and Tim Miller, our guests
There's
last
yeah.
year. They're coming back this year for Imaginarium, but they're doing an audio drama, and it's just phenomenal because it takes you to this western town. You hear the clip clock of the horses. You hear the
The wind.
saloon doors
The
creak
wind
and open, and
blowing in
you
the
hear all
wind
this in
and
the
all kinds of
background
stuff.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that it
Mhm.
takes a team. It's more of an audio. That's a drama. That's what Michael was explaining earlier.
It's an immersive audiobook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Because I think,
yeah,
in my opinion, for my books, I think that'd be really cool.
That's
yeah.
yeah, it's and that's, it is in that way very much like listening to old time radio, with or without the transatlantic dialect, right?
Mhm. Right.
Um,
Uh-huh.
so it's, yeah, no, I fully concur with you on that. I think that's something that I look forward to hearing more of.
Well, there you
So,
go. Hey,
Michael, are
well,
you
hey,
planning on
let
looking
Michael talk
into
to Eric,
doing?
Holly. Michael could
Huh?
talk to Michael could talk to Eric now, maybe after the
That's
show.
what I'm saying. Hey, Eric, there
Hey,
you go. Pick
There you
Michael's
go.
brain.
There
Michael,
you go.
there you go. We can
hey,
introduce you all.
Michael, I am on
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. I am
Yeah.
on
Okay.
LinkedIn.
Connections
Excellent.
are being made. This is great.
I will
And
connect you to on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
sounds great. I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Yeah. Oh
That'd be
man, this is great.
amazing. Amazing. You could pick each other's brains. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. So what genres have you hit, Michael, that you could offer?
I have been some more historical fiction lately. Recent things like The Red Badge of Courage.
Okay.
Which being about a New York soldier, the entire thing was done in New York. At least in the dialogue parts, because it wouldn't work otherwise. Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer.
Yes.
They're such quintessential pieces of Americana. When I first got told that I had been selected to do those, and that's through Anthony Pica and Academy Voices. And my first question to him was, are we doing these as written, or are we making them 21st century friendly, so to speak?
Oh yeah.
And because let's face it, not
Yeah.
so much Tom Sawyer, but Huck Finn, they throw certain words around like rice at
Yeah.
a wedding.
That's true.
And I was like, he said, nope. If you're going to pick up and listen to or read Huck Finn, you got to understand it's in there because it's period.
It's in there. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
life. So had a good number of that. I like delving into things that give me a little more opportunity to range in on it.
Mhm.
The Wind in the Willows, things like some of Oscar Wilde's things, like the I'm trying to think of the The Happy Prince. That's the one I was trying to think of. Classic, if you remember
yes.
watching the cartoon of that from way back in the 70s also. Real tearjerker. So, I like digging into things that King Arthur stories, anything that really gives me a chance to push myself as much as anything else. Anything I get to use dialects into. Dialects are my thing. And anytime I get to use a new one or develop a new one, I'm all over it.
You should check out my book, One Way Roads. It deals with time travel back to World War II.
I'm writing it down.
There you go. You two have got to connect. But Eric, you've got some background noise going on. So
Yeah, I'm multitasking, making dinner for the family.
well,
Nice.
if you've got any more questions, let's get them out, and then we'll get you wrapped up. And then we don't want to keep Michael on here forever because we could talk to him for. He's got to come back because we have so much to
Yes.
talk about. But
Oh,
yeah,
I'd
do you
love
have
to.
any last questions or anything you want to ask him on the air real quick?
No, I'd like to
Okay.
connect with him after, like I said,
Okay.
on LinkedIn, and then phone call and see what happens.
Very
Sounds
good.
great to me.
Very good. Thank you, darling. I will talk to you soon, Eric.
You
Thank you,
too.
Eric.
You guys, it was
All
a
right.
pleasure
Have a good
speaking to
night.
all of you.
All right. Bye
Bye
bye.
now.
Say, sometime down the road, we need to just go straight whole ghosts for a talk. That would be great. I could
Yeah.
do that for hours.
We do. We do.
Well,
But
hey,
yeah, this has been
maybe we
wonderful.
set a new immersive audio project in motion between Michael and Eric tonight.
That would be so
That
cool
would be awesome.
because I met you both on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. Shout out to LinkedIn. They do not sponsor our show, although I need
Yeah,
to
they
reach
do
out
not.
about that
We love
because
them. Yeah.
we have found so many guests
Yes.
on LinkedIn because Stephen knows I work LinkedIn. I talk
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
I'm
I
active
communicate with
too.
people on LinkedIn. People
Yep.
stick out to me. And I'm like, this person is very interesting. I want to hear more about them. I want to talk to them. And that's who I reach out to. I have thousands of friends on LinkedIn, but there are a few that I actually, personally reach out to and actually get a rapport going. So yeah, kudos to you, Michael.
Even
You were
met one of
great.
my favorite cast members on Underworld, the Underworld franchise, and chatted with this person on LinkedIn a few times. So
Nice.
yeah, it's fun. LinkedIn is quite a lot of fun.
Nice.
But,
Love it.
Anytime you get a chance to do stuff like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
hook up with
And it's more
somebody else.
professional. It doesn't get
Yeah.
into, all the crap out there in the world. It's professional. We like to talk about creative
Yeah.
things.
Filters
And,
out
and
some of
that's
that.
like you were
Yeah.
saying, you've always been drawn to the creative world one way or the other. Kudos to you. I want to give you a shout out for being an art teacher. Okay. When
Yes.
my kids were in school,
Mhm.
my art teacher was just, my kids' art teacher was just enamored by me because I was one of the teachers when we did teachers night, right? Where we went to the school and got to talk to the teacher. I'm the one that showed up to the art teacher, right?
Yeah.
Because I felt that that was one of the most important classes ever because that is a teenager's outlet. That is their creative outlet for those extroverts and those that are being bullied, that are having home issues, that are being abused, or that
Mhm.
is their outlet.
Mhm.
And society and government try to push that down. They don't want to give the funding. It's all to sports, to hell with the arts, and it's just a pitiful shame because we're losing a whole bunch of children that could be so vital to our society if they
Mhm.
were lifted up and encouraged for their creative side. And so I was one of the
Absolutely.
parents
100%.
that showed up to the music teacher, to the art teachers. And the art teacher was, she always was like, because when my son and daughter went through, she's like, "You're like one of the only the parents that really take us seriously." Right? And I would donate
Mhm.
supplies and I would help her because she was having to buy a lot of stuff out of her pocket, which I know you do too. And so, I was helping her, buy stuff. I donate stuff all the time. But yeah, she was just enamored
Yep.
'cause I took
Sa
it serious, but yeah, I
And
same
take it
we
all
same
serious.
experience here growing up. Yeah,
Yeah,
that made a big difference, the art and music
drama,
teachers. Yeah,
music, art,
and
it's
teachers in theater.
and
Mhm.
well,
we
and I will say
appreciate it.
it was one of my favorite classes. It was one of,
Yes,
I remember
me too.
more in art then, well, I can't, okay, English. My literature teacher was phenomenal. I took every freaking literature subject I could possibly take. But yeah, other than that, art, art, art. I loved my art teacher in high school, and it left
Excellent.
lasting memories. So you are creating lasting memory, and you are so vital to a lot of children's lives. And I want to commend you for that.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know that, the art and music and instrumental teachers, we occasionally feel like we get short shrift on some things,
You do.
but
You do.
it
Mhm.
makes me glad when every once in a while, a former high school student 10 years later,
Yep.
uh, goes on Facebook and they do the old, who made an impact, and you see
Mhm.
your name come up and you're like, "Oh god, I gotta get the Kleenex," 'cause, the fact that
You were their outlet.
I was their outlet or I was their safety, I
Savior. Yep.
I was their stability,
Yep.
or in some way, I was the one person who said, "Yeah, I get where I get where you're thinking right now."
Yeah.
I was
Get where
the,
you're coming from.
yep, I understood even if I didn't realize it included me, I understood the ADHD kid,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
Mhm.
now I know why.
Right. Right. Because when we were children, because I'm in that 50 some range too.
Mhm.
Stevenson, he's 600 and some year, but
634.
oh, he's
Nice.
700,
No,
700 year.
no, 634. I'll be
I can, yeah.
635 in July. Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
just to
That's
clarify.
right. You will.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So he's centuries old. But yes, I understand at 50 something. Gen X rules. We rock. But yeah, I understand because when we were that age, of course, every generation goes through teen angst and whatnot. But we were the kids that you don't come in till the street light comes on. We were the kids
Yep.
that there was commercials on TV. Do you know where your
Where are
kids
your
are? It's
children?
10 o'clock. You know, we were the forgotten generation. We had to fend for ourselves, raise ourselves. That was us. So we're
We needed
fighters.
celebrities to come on TV and, "This is Cyndi Lauper. Do you know where your children are right now?"
That's
And it was
exactly
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
And
So, you know,
yep.
any of the arts, that was our passion. That was our outlet. Music,
Yep.
drawing,
Mhm.
you know, books. Hell, I was even listening to audiobooks. I had my first audiobook was on cassette of The Mist that I had rented
Me
from our
too.
local library.
Me too. That's
Really?
wild. Yes.
Yes, because
Stephen
I'm
King's
a
The
Stephen
Mist.
King
Yeah.
nut, and it was The
Mhm.
Mist because it was on cassette, right?
Yep.
And oh my god, it was
Oh,
so good.
I'm gonna make you feel old for a second. My first audiobook
Yeah.
was Peter and the Wolf. In 2nd grade, it was on a 45 2 sides of a 45 record that came with a
Nice.
booklet because I had perfect attendance in 2nd grade, and so my award was a record audiobook version of Peter and the Wolf narrated,
Okay. I
and I
I
got
do
a
get you.
I
No,
had
wait a minute.
when I was a
You
kid, I
are
had
right.
Sesame Street. I had Sesame Street
Yes.
books
oh,
that
there's
came with the
that.
records. It
Okay.
came with the
You're
records
right.
and
I
yeah.
did.
Mhm.
I had Black Beauty. I still have the book downstairs. I don't know where my record is. My mom probably threw it away. I don't know. I may find it at her house sometime or another when she's 90 years old, but I may find it sometime. But it was Black Beauty, and I had it on a 45, and I listened to it
Mhm.
over and over
Now
and
Yeah.
over and over
Yeah, if those
my,
before
count,
I knew how to
I
read
had
because I
if those
wanted to
count
read so bad.
yeah, if those count, that Sesame Street series of
That's
that
right.
you had
You're
the
yep,
books
right. Good.
narrated by the Sesame Street, characters, and they had the 45s that went with them. Yeah, I remember
yep,
that.
Michael, that is genius because you know what? Vinyl's back in now, and
yes, it is.
Generation Z and Alpha like tangible media. That may be something you want to consider doing
Yep.
old classics on 45.
Ooh, get them put on vinyl.
Michael and Vinyl. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we
Yeah.
don't need that
Yeah,
picture. You know what I mean? It depends on the, depends on the vinyl. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, because
Oh,
yikes, as long as I'm
picture
not
disc.
wearing it.
Or a
You
picture
could do
disc. Yeah,
colored vinyl now.
or colored vinyl, yeah.
That is true. That is
Snazzy
true.
colored vinyl. Yeah, yeah.
See, I think of when I know it caused a little bit of issue when my kids were little, between myself and their mom, because they always they had some of the books where, you push the button and it plays the music or it does the little snippet and they
Yeah.
enjoyed those, but they wanted dad to read stories because they
Yeah.
knew dad was gonna throw dialects and voices and things into it, and I know that,
Fun.
Mhm.
sometimes, that their mom was kinda like, "Well, I wanna read stories too." I'm like, but the kids are
Right.
like, "Yeah, yeah, but dad," and then until the day until the day one day I figured it was gonna get me in trouble at some point because I had some classic stories, some old stuff like, Uncle Wiggily and Uncle Remus, and some classic old stories, and if a story's in vernacular, I tended to read it in vernacular, and I was just so worried that one day I was gonna get that phone call from school where they were gonna read a story that my kids had heard, and they were gonna be like, "My dad doesn't read it like that." I'd be like, "No, no. No, no. Let's get." Well, here's the perfect example. I substitute teaching for a media specialist, the librarian, and she left me the book Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins because it was Hanukkah, and I don't know if you know that story,
No,
but
but I want
it
to.
it's all about, Herschel of Ostrapol who
I
and
know a
in Europe,
Herschel. He's a filmmaker out of
and
Louisville, and that's hilarious. Go
and
ahead.
he goes into town and nobody's celebrating Hanukkah because the synagogue's been taken over by goblins. And so he's gotta go up there and trick them out of it. And I'm looking at this book and I'm going, I can't just read this. I have to read this. So of course I started into something that I think Mel Brooks would be very proud of. And
Nice.
I was adding things to it, and actually, it very much sounded like if you remember Eddie Murphy in Coming to America.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
literally, it's like, "There once
Right.
was a man named Herschel," and I read the whole story like that.
Oh, beautiful.
And
Well
I'm
well
going, "I'm fired. I am so fired." And the next day, I got a parent phone call, and I'm like, "Oh, no, here it comes."
Ah.
And the mom got on the phone, and she goes, "So my daughter tells me you read Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins yesterday?" I was like, yes, ma'am." She goes, "She said you sounded just like a grandfather. She loved it. I wanted to call and tell you thank you so." I'm like, "Oh, thank you, Jesus."
That is awesome.
That's I thought that was gonna be the end of it right there. And
I'll make you some cannolis.
yeah, it was I started it was a lot of fun. I said, some stories are just meant to be read certain ways.
That's
Oh
And
my
awesome.
God, you need to do what is it? Fiddler on the Roof. Yeah.
oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
That's
Mhm.
fun. That'd be
Anytime I
fun.
can anytime I can play like that, without crossing the line, of course. I don't have any
Well,
desire
yeah,
to, upset anybody, but,
but it's
you know
having fun.
yeah,
Oh,
And being a
yeah.
storyteller. That's the
Well
whole part
well,
of being
I
a
think it's fun.
storyteller.
That your Hanukkah story, yeah, that like I said, that connects to a part of my heritage, so I commend you for that, and I definitely would love to hear the whole thing
Oh my
because
God, yes. We've got to
that's
get you to
yeah,
Imaginarium, if not this year, next. And you've
and
got,
Holly,
oh God.
We gotta tell Chad about this too and some of our
We
other
have to
friends,
tell Chad,
yeah,
our
about
I
the
call him
Hanukkah goblins.
our token Jew
No, no,
friend, as a joke, but
yeah.
it's hilarious because
Well,
he
you know,
is
he's
Jewish, and I tell him
yeah,
that
fully,
just as a
yeah,
joke.
like, fully, yeah.
And he's one of our new authors now, under our press.
Yeah,
But
fu
he is such a humorous fellow, and he loves comedy, so he
yeah,
would
he has
love
a
this.
great sense of humor, but yeah,
Oh,
he's
he does.
yeah,
He would love this.
both of his parents are, are Jewish, yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she means by that, but
Mhm.
it's also part of my heritage, but I have a
Yes.
couple other things. I'm a mix in my heritage, so but it
We
is
all are. We're all nuts.
but that is one of the parts of my heritage, so yeah, I love it, so yeah, I've gotta hear that too.
That's so much fun.
I would
So
love
much fun.
I
Yeah,
look
And
forward to
that's the
getting
way
out there.
comedy used to be, right? It was lighthearted. We could make fun of ourselves and have fun with it. And that's the way comedy's meant to be, right? It's not meant to be hurtful. And that's the way with dialect and telling stories. And there's this great festival we'll have to tune you into too. Me and Steve went for our first time last year. It was like the 50th anniversary. It's the Corn Island Story Festival that's held
Storytelling
here
festival, Corn Island
in
Storytelling Festival.
Yes, in Kentucky.
Mhm.
And they have different storytellers, guests that come and tell these stories. And they have one last year. I forget his name. God, I feel bad. But he played the part of Daniel Boone, and he told the story, and he was dressed like Daniel Boone, and he was up there telling the story just like if he was Daniel Boone, doing the whole acting and everything, and it was so cool. But they have all these different storytellers coming, and
Yeah.
it's so fun when you can do the
It
dialects, or
it's
because then you're doing a drama on stage, right? Then you're in front of
Right.
people, and you can do facial expressions, and you can do all that. Where when you're doing it just audio, it's that
mhm.
much harder, that much difficult,
Yeah,
because it's more difficult.
they even had Bill Samuels, the former, president and CEO of Maker's Mark there, and so so me being a bourbon connoisseur, I was like, "Oh, I hope
Nice.
you get some samples out," but no,
Nice.
You would love it, Michael. It's a
Sounds
lot of
great.
yeah, it
fun.
was a
It
lot
is.
of fun.
It's only a day. It's hot. It was hot last year, but it's so much fun.
Yeah,
To sit there and listen to all the stories, and we
yeah,
had to leave
oral
unfortunately for the ghost
storytelling,
stories and
yeah,
all that. But yeah,
oral
it is
storytelling,
a lot of
yeah.
fun. But
Nice.
yeah, we definitely got a lot of things in Kentucky that would interest you. But we definitely want you as a guest, 'cause
I'd
Yeah,
be
it
happy to be there.
it would be a blast,
yeah.
and the people would love you, the authors would love you.
Holly, you definitely have to pass along his name to our friends with the Corn Island
Yes, I do.
Storytelling Festival, definitely, because
I
he would
Yes,
have a
appreciate
yes.
that.
yeah, yeah,
And
because
have
they
them
have
reach out to you.
yeah, they need to do that. Yeah, because he'd be great.
Yeah.
Especially, oh my god, the Hanukkah story of this is a must.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
fantastic. It takes a village, right, Michael? And you'll
yeah,
Yes,
find that
ma'am.
as you go along, it does take a village. And as we rise together, we should help each other. We're never competitors, we are collaborators. And so we should network. We should help each other rise, because as one of us rise, we take the others. So
Correct.
um that's a part of it, and it's all karma, right? What you put out, you get back. So yeah, we need to help each other.
I totally agree, and I will certainly happy to do what I can to help make that happen.
Well, I would love to hear more about your accents, and I am going to look more into um, where you have got your, like, if you've got a portfolio, or do you got something you could share? Like, if people would reach out to you,
Yes,
like us, we're a
find you.
small
Yeah.
press, and we have like speculative fiction, we have nonfiction, we have children's, we have all kinds, basically everything under our roof. Um, that we would love to hear what you offer. So, or what, your voice. We want to hear what you can do and your range. And we know a lot of other presses. So, where would one reach you to get a portfolio like that, or talk to you and pick your brain? Other, we know LinkedIn, but where would we reach you?
One place that you can go to, that has a growing amount as I get to it, is my website, which is www.thevoiceofmichaellyons.com, all one word. Um, and on there, I've got some genre pages and things like that with all sorts of demos on it. My audiobook page is growing as I have the opportunity to add more to it. Most of my audiobooks that I've done for other folks can be found on Audible and other audiobook places. You just put my name in as the narrator. And I got a little some of that I put on my YouTube, but I haven't been too active on YouTube lately because I've been too busy doing other stuff. But those are and you can reach me through my website also. Um, I'm happy to talk to anybody who might wanna see what I can do for them.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Answer questions and see where your range is. And what is your favorite genre to actually do? Well, I mean, what are you most excited to actually perform and go after?
Um, well,
Passion.
from an audiobook standpoint,
Uh-huh.
I I love it when we get into, uh, children's fiction or into the fantasy end of things, something that's a bit more bucolic, so
Okay.
something with some age on it, in the sense of emotional age on it. And so, the King Arthur
Elaborate.
stories were
Can
wonderful.
you elaborate on that?
Yeah, the there's there are some stories that just carry with them a more ancient sense, and in that, I mean, I
Mm.
love Celtic folklore, just
Yes.
love it, and part of that
Me
is
too.
because I'm mostly Irish, Scots, Welsh, um,
Yes.
Nice.
and
Relative.
so when we start getting into old folklore stories,
Hmm.
that have that kind of age behind them, I think that they just have there's just something about them that is so that fits into their own little niche and gives you so much to work with. And so I love them when you get into the Mabinogion, in Wales, and, uh, Finn McCool and Cuchulainn in Ireland, and
Yeah.
those stories, those are that really gets me in there. From a just a regular voiceover and voice acting standpoint, I love doing cartoons and cartoon voices. Anytime I get an opportunity to do that, I have I can't name the video game right now because
Mhm.
it's not I can't do that yet.
Right.
But I got to throw some good, fun, comedic voice at a soon to be released, well awaited video game.
Okay.
So that was kinda nice.
Nice. Yeah.
And I love doing
Cool.
documentaries. I
Ooh.
love documentary work.
Oh.
David Attenborough, uh, I
Yes, I love David.
it's going to be a sad day when he is no longer here to
Yes.
narrate our stories.
Isn't it
It's
though?
It is,
Yeah.
because it's just that's storytelling in a different sense, but it's just that there's just something that appeals to it about me. I realize that that's a far cry from doing cartoon voices, and that sort of thing, but it's something I would sit and watch a good documentary before I'd sit and watch
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah, and
Oh, me too.
I love Morgan Freeman too on
Oh,
documentaries.
absolutely.
God, he's got
Oh
a
yeah,
great
Absolutely.
voice for documentary. Yeah, he
yeah.
is fantastic. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, great voice on a documentary. That's gold. Yeah,
Well, I
I
am
love Morgan
actually
Freeman.
documentary. Speaking of that, there will be one coming up in the next year or so. Um, I'm working with another filmmaker, but we are planning on doing a documentary. But yes, it would be great to have a voice
Well,
narrator. So I will
I
definitely keep
would
you in mind.
thank
It's
you.
a
I
true
would be
it's
happy
a
to give it
true
a try.
crime documentary, but it would be
Ooh,
great.
even
Mm.
better.
Hmm. Hmm.
All
That'd
right.
be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. So,
That'd be a
who's
good time.
been your favorite voice? If you can give us a little snippet here, um, that you can
Yeah,
do an
first of all, favorite.
imitation, a who's your favorite voice to like do?
Um, well, one of the easiest ones I've ever been able to do is Goofy.
Ooh, ooh.
And,
Mhm.
between him and
Fantastic.
Pete,
Yeah.
those were 2 early ones, that I was able to do, uh, from a young age. But I think more than anything, it was I grew up watching British television and watching the BBC and watching, Monty Python and Benny Hill and things like that. So I grew up with as much British in my ears as I did American. And so, eh, it's that gives me an opportunity to just be a little bit different in what I'm doing and feel like I'm a character, but I'm not. And so for me, that, that just gives me an opportunity to immerse myself fully in a dialect like that, to the point that I often forget that I'm doing it, and I have to stop myself, when it's not time to do that.
I love it. I love it. And I will say, I was like you. I read to my children every single night before they went to bed, and I would do it separately. I would tuck them in bed, tuck the covers around him. And I would go to my son and read him his couple books. And then I'd go to my daughter and read her couple books, when she got that age. And I would do the voices and I would do the
Mhm.
beats and the pauses you know, and it was so fun. And Steven's mom read him, gosh, Lord of the Rings at what age? What age did
7.
she start?
At 7.
7.
And The
Oh,
7.
Hobbit.
excellent.
And The Hobbit, and did
And
the
The Hobbit.
voices.
Yeah.
And did the voices. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So,
was
I mean,
I
it's something it sticks with you, right?
I
Through
I
generations.
started I started my kids with, one of the early ones when the novels, for them was, C.S. Lewis and the Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was my next, thing that my mother got me was that series, yeah.
It's such a just a good, great way to play.
Oh, yes.
And, if you're not
Oh, I gotta hear you
playing,
do
you're not
Mr.
having
Tumnus one day.
fun.
You don't have to do it tonight, but yes, the Mr. Tumnus. That's
See, yeah, and Mr. Thomas, he's just so uptight.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, but you gotta have fun. You gotta play. If you're not playing while you're doing this, then you're not enjoying yourself.
No,
It can't be work.
no.
And
No.
and
And if it
so
is, then you need to move on, right?
yeah, you need a break, or
Yeah.
you need to shift gears entirely.
You're burnt out. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. It's all about enjoying what we do. As creatives, enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Uh, you know, enjoy it. If it's not, you got to shift things around
The day it stops
because
being fun is the day you gotta stop doing it.
that's
Yep,
it. That's it.
agreed.
Because the day it's work, it's no longer enjoyable. Then it's just work, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Alright.
And I love that you have taken this journey and that you shared it with us. And what a journey you've had and different experiences. And I love it. I
I
understand
Yeah.
it completely. I've had
Yeah.
many journeys right there with you. I'm ADD. My brain runs on squirrels too. So
Yep.
Yep.
Stephen knows he don't always understand it, but he just like, well, let her go because
When
that's just
when
the
we
way
were
I
kids,
roll.
they didn't have ADD when we were kids, they
Nope,
had BAD when we were kids.
that's right.
J
That's right.
Yep,
I got handed a book because I would sit in the back of the class. And, because I get done with my test, of course, we get done before everybody because
yep.
we just, you know, go through it and we're done with all of our tests and quizzes and whatnot. And we can't sit still. So, we were tapping pencils or shaking the desk with our knee or, doing uh, things that, took away from the class. So they put us in the back of the book, back of the class with the book, and I was fine.
Well, I was the kid, I had an open classroom school.
Uh
I
huh.
don't know what they were smoking when they thought that that was a good idea,
Yeah, no.
but somebody in the '60s was hitting something
Yeah, they were hitting a lot of
because
things.
They're hitting a lot
4
of things then. Yeah.
get 100 kids split into 4 classrooms with nothing but a chest-high partition between them and expect me to get any work done?
Oh, sounds like the
No.
Amish school. I've
Yeah.
I've been there. Yeah, I lived in an Amish community. That's where I raised my kids for 20 years. I was never Amish, but all my neighbors were. All my best friends were. That was a community I was in. And so yeah, I my best friend was the teacher at the local school and it was literally a partition, like you said. So yeah, pretty wild.
Yep. Well, I appreciate
So
you
good.
guys having me on here
Yep.
this evening.
Thank you.
It's been an honor,
We
and
have went over and I apologize, but
I'm
wow,
good.
we've covered a lot of things.
Yeah, this was fascinating. I enjoyed it very
Is there
much.
anything that we did not cover you want to hit real quick?
No,
Okay.
we covered a lot of territory
We
tonight,
did.
and if we get together again at some point,
We will.
I'd love to do a deep dive on the whole ghost thing with you and just focus on that at some
Mm.
point. I think that'd be a great time.
That'd be
That'd be a
fun.
lot of fun. And we could get a couple other guests. We know Mr. Vince Killian, who's a big paranormal investigator, goes all over the country to paracons and whatever. He just went earlier to the Lizzie Borden house and
Mm. Bet
did a
that was a real
tour on.
cut up.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So he did a tour of it, and me and him got in this big talk about haunted dolls and all this. So yeah, that would be an interesting
That'd be
episode. I
fun.
would
That
love to do
would.
a
Yeah.
ghost a
That'd be a
ghost
good
talk.
time.
Let's talk
Very-
about that. But yeah,
yeah.
let's. But if there's anything left that you'd like to say, other than that, I'd like to thank you for your
Links.
time and
Yep.
yeah,
Share
yeah.
your links
All
again,
right.
real quick
Yep,
for
I'll
those
give you
who
the
would
links
like to get
again
a hold
real
of you.
quick. www.thevoiceofmichaellyons.com. That's a quick and easy way to find me. You can connect with me through there. You can get a sample of what I do from there. Places like LinkedIn. And if you want other audiobook samples, you can go to your usual places like Audible and put my name in as a narrator.
All right.
Fantastic. Well,
Thank
thank
you,
you very much,
Michael.
Michael. We'll
And
be.
yes, I will be in touch, and we will get you out to Imaginarium. And
I look forward to it.
yeah, love to have you out. And we will talk further. And thank you
Alrighty.
for being such a great guest and have a great evening. What's left?
You too. Have a great night, Holly. Have a great night, Steve.
You too. Take
Thank you.
care, Michael.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Good
Bye.
night.
Have a good one.
All right, those out there in the chat room and listener world, join us next Wednesday. Same place, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Another great guest, another great chat for the rest of the week. Be creative, y'all. Good night.